My wife decided to carry her boss's baby after I told her it would end our marriage. Months later, she stood in our living room with that baby screaming in her arms and told me I owed her help. That was when I stopped arguing. My wife Nora worked for an executive named Mark. One night, after our 3 kids were asleep, she said Mark and his wife couldn't have a child, so she had agreed to be their surrogate. She said it like she was volunteering for a fundraiser. I asked when we had discussed 9 months of pregnancy, appointments, childcare, and our kids watching their mother carry someone else's baby. We hadn't. Mark had offered her $25,000, and Nora had already been talking to him privately. It's my body, my choice, she said. I don't need your permission. I told her she didn't. I also told her I didn't have to stay married to someone who made a decision that large as if I were a roommate. She said maybe I needed to rethink what being a husband meant. Then everyone started calling me selfish. Her sister phoned while I was helping our son with homework and called Nora's decision beautiful. Her mother cornered me after church and said a good husband supported sacrifice. Mark called it a gift. Nobody asked what it would do to our family. I tried practical arguments. Nora had been miserable during previous pregnancies. We already had a mortgage and 3 kids. I asked who would handle school pickups when she was sick, who would take care of our youngest during appointments, and who would be awake at 2 a.m. when pregnancy stopped feeling noble. She never answered that part. 3 months later, she walked into the kitchen in her bathrobe holding a pregnancy test. It worked, she said. I looked at it. Okay, that scared her more than yelling would have. I went to work, called a divorce attorney during lunch, and filed. I also saved every text. The one where she told her sister I was being a baby. The one saying he doesn't get a vote. The messages where I warned her that going through with the surrogacy meant our marriage was over. After I filed, Nora moved into the guest room but still expected husband service. Pickles on the way home. Help with the crib. Rides to appointments because Mark and his wife were traveling. Late night knocks because the baby was kicking and she was scared. Mark showed up for ultrasounds. His wife brought expensive baby gear. Neither showed up for vomiting, swollen ankles, childcare, laundry, or 3 a.m. panic. Every request came back to me. My answer became simple. Not my baby. Not my problem. When labor started, Nora called me at work. Mark was in a meeting. His wife was at a spa. Nora begged me to come to the hospital. I told her to call the parents. The baby was born healthy. A few days later, Nora came home with him because Mark and his wife had not yet taken over full-time care. Suddenly, there were bottles in our sink, diapers in our trash, a crib in the guest room, and a newborn waking our kids all night. 2 weeks later, I was helping my son with math when the baby started screaming upstairs. Nora came down holding him, exhausted and furious. Just hold him for 10 minutes, she said. I need a shower. I kept looking at the worksheet. No, you owe me this much. I'm your wife. I sent my son upstairs, stood up and asked, what exactly do I owe you? Support. That word finally did it. I told her I had supported our family for years. Bills, school runs, sick kids, groceries, every normal mess that belonged to us. But this wasn't something that happened to her. She chose it. She chose Mark's request after I told her what it would cost. Then everyone called me selfish while expecting me to absorb the cost anyway. She started crying and said I was abandoning her. No, I said. I'm refusing to be your backup husband because the people you chose aren't showing up. I picked up my keys. Call Mark, call your sister, call your mother, but stop calling me. When I came back 2 hours later, her car was gone. So was the baby. The divorce took months, but the legal part was brief compared with everything before it. Nora claimed I had abandoned her while pregnant. My attorney produced the saved texts showing I had warned her before the pregnancy. The court eventually gave me primary custody of our 3 kids. I took the paperwork home and put it in a kitchen drawer. Nora still called for a while. Money problems, regret, requests to talk. Sometimes Mark and his wife were suddenly too busy again. I stopped answering. One Saturday morning, my kids were arguing over pancakes. One wanted chocolate chips. Another had dropped eggshell into the batter. My phone lit up with Nora's name on the counter. I turned it face down and kept cooking.